in an effort to liberate women, they have thrown housewifery out the window. They just don't see the value in it, regardless of whether or not you want to do it. Because people have so much internalized misogyny, they desire to control women. And it's not better just because they want to control you out into independence in the workforce. That's not better than controlling you into the home, okay? It's still control. And so... everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest. Today we are going to be discussing my tips for your women who dream or desire of becoming a homemaker someday. But before we dive into that, I do think this is a video that deserves a disclaimer. And I have to say, this is not me saying all women should stay at home. It's not me saying this should be your dream. It's not me telling you what to do. This video is only for women who desire to be a homemaker someday, are making plans to end up there. I sometimes receive criticism saying that I believe all women should stay at home, and I have, first of all, never said that. And second of all, I don't believe in people making choices based on coercion or being forced to do something outside of their will. I think it's so important for us to make our own choices in life and to follow our own beliefs and our own will and desire. And because of that, I would never say you should stay home if you don't want to, or all women should stay at home. I don't believe that. That is an unfair, slanderous kind of statement that people love to bring up when they encounter women like myself who talk about the benefits of homemaking. Many people don't like it when we talk about homemaking or the option of becoming a homemaker because they believe that staying home is a negative thing for women, regardless of any other factors, regardless of whether or not the woman chose to be there, whether or not it makes her happy, whether or not it fits her beliefs, and whether or not it's what she wants. And that is actually more controlling and more demeaning towards women than giving them a variety of options, showing them a variety of lifestyles, and allowing them to choose. That's how I go about things. I'm never going to sit here and say that you have to live life like me or that you have to live life like the world. I'm merely sharing my experience, what I do, what I love, and what makes me happy, in case it resonates with any of you out there who might have these alternative dreams and desires. And in my opinion, this approach treats women like the grown-ups we are. It doesn't treat us like children who need to be forced into a certain lifestyle and patted on the head and said, oh, don't worry, you'll be happy. If we really want women to be treated as if they're equal to men, we need to treat them like adults. We can't just, force them into lifestyles that they don't want. We have to show a variety of options because as a woman, there are a variety of options, and traditionalism is one of them. And when you choose traditionalism of your own volition, according to your own beliefs, your own desires, your own will, it can be one of the most beautiful blessings ever. And I would be so devastated if this message never got out and you never realized that that was an option. Traditionalism is still very much alive. It merely means following paths similar to what our grandparents, our great-grandparents lived, where you have a provider husband and a homemaker wife who eventually will probably have children. And really what those people are saying at the end of the day is that their opinions and their thoughts and their perspective on homemaking matters more than that woman's, than yours. When they're enforcing their beliefs on you because they think it's the right thing to do or the right way to be, that's no better than people in the 1950s forcing women to stay at home or forcing women to do anything that is not their personal choice. So I really hope that you can see where I'm coming from and remind yourself to step away from the cultural narrative and try to recognize where you are being controlled or forced to do something that you don't want to do, that doesn't feel right for you. And if you have been secretly dreaming or desiring of being a homemaker, you're not a crazy person. You're not a bad woman. You're not a weak woman. Many strong, wonderful, wise, intelligent women choose this path, and to say otherwise is again degrading to women. If we want to support women, if we want to lift women up, if we want to recognize the equality of women, that includes all women, including women who choose to stay at home to raise children and to live in traditionally feminine roles. So all of that out of the way, let's get to the meat of the video. How do we prepare to be homemakers? How do we prepare for that when we don't have a man, or maybe our man doesn't want us to stay home? You know, how can we achieve that dream? So my first tip for you all is the most important piece to the puzzle, and that is going to be your partner. This is the number one reason why people don't like discussing homemaking for modern women, because of the unavoidable fact that it requires the support of a man. It requires the support of your partner. You cannot be independent as a homemaker. You cannot do this on your own. You need your partner, your husband. But the beauty is that's actually why marriage was formed, you know, to have that traditional kind of unification where you and your husband work together to build a family, to build a home. And I know a lot of women worry about that piece of the puzzle, you know, how to find a traditional man. And my best advice is to, first of all, not hide that you are traditional. Live your traditional lifestyle. Be open about your beliefs. If you are religious, get involved in your religion. You know, there are more traditional men out there than you realize. There is a huge percentage of men who might desire that in some way, but just like you are, they're afraid to say it out loud for fear of sounding like they don't value women or that they don't value the equality of women. That is a huge obstacle to many of us accomplishing this dream. We're simply too afraid to discuss it for fear of sounding like a misogynist. But the reality, like I spoke about at the beginning of the video, is that we can present different options for people without degrading the value of women. Okay, so a lot of men are even afraid of bringing this up. So first of all, don't assume that there are no men out there who want to live this lifestyle. That's not true. Second of all, don't hide your beliefs, you know, especially when you're dating, but you don't need to be so forward. So the way to do this is, you know, if you want to express that you're traditional, that you want children, that you want to get married, you can talk about, yes, I dream of being a mother. That's a lot different than saying, I dream of having your babies, okay? One's kind of creepy. The other is just talking about a legitimate life dream. And the thing is, it's best to be open with this stuff pretty early on in the relationship, because if he gets freaked out, he's not traditional enough to live this lifestyle, okay? This is actually really good, okay? It's really good to bring up these topics. It's really good to talk about them, because then you will not waste time. You will be able to suss out if he is the one for you, okay? Because as I've spoken about in my relationship videos, compatibility is the number one thing that matters in relationships, of your beliefs and values, your future goals, and emotional compatibility. And if your future goals and your beliefs and values don't line up, you probably won't be able to, first of all, achieve this dream, but also ever come to some sort of agreement about that. So before you get really emotionally involved or physically involved or spiritually involved with a partner, it is crucial to know what they desire for the future, what they believe, okay? So go out on a limb a little bit. Share your beliefs. Many modern men even expect their wives to work, expect them to bring home a salary. They wouldn't want to marry someone who doesn't work, okay? So it's really important to suss this out while you're dating, and then while you're married, if your mindset changes, remember that many modern people, if not most modern people, have this mindset that it's degrading to stay home, that you'll be lazy, that you're a leech, that you financially can't do it. Watch my myths video to kind of get some arguments against this. But just remember, that might be the mindset where your husband is coming from, okay? And it takes time to switch from that mindset. Even if you are religious, even if he is somewhat traditional, it's a deeply ingrained belief now, okay? So I really encourage you to be patient. This might be a very long process, but I have received hundreds of emails from women who have shared with me that, since deciding that they wanted to stay home, they were actually able to make that happen with their husbands over the course of a year or so, or to work part-time or whatever. Remember that you cannot strong arm a man into wanting a homemaking wife. You just can't. All hope is not lost, because ideas and mindsets can change, but again, screaming, crying, whining, and bothering him to stay at home is not going to be effective. My best advice is to start working on minor homemaking at home to kind of show what life would be if you did work from home. Maybe work part-time, cut down your hours, get better with the cleaning and the cooking and the responsibilities that come along with homemaking to kind of show him what life could be. The fact that homemakers rely on their husband is probably the single most reason why people are disgusted by homemaking. In an effort to liberate women, they have thrown housewifery out the window. They just don't see the value in it, regardless of whether or not you want to do it. And because of that, you're going to need to be prepared for some pushback, okay? Pushback can come in the form of family members, like your parents questioning your decisions. It can come from friends. It can come online, or it can just be a general feeling of stress you might experience by encountering the heavy boss babe propaganda we all experience now in 2020. When I first started coming out with my beliefs online, I received criticism that I was lazy, that I was attention seeking, that I wasn't really a homemaker because I was on YouTube. There was a lot of pushback, and it was pretty disgusting, and it still is pretty disgusting. But I think that just reveals the internalized misogyny that so many modern people have. Because if you truly valued women, if you truly believed in the equality of women, you would respect my choice to stay home. You would respect my choice to be a Christian, homemaking woman, and you would allow me to make that choice in peace. But because people have so much internalized misogyny, they desire to control women, and it's not better just because they want to control you out into independence in the workforce. That's not better than controlling you into the home, okay? It's still control. And that's the macro level of what you might experience on a micro level in your interpersonal relationships. You might receive small little snide comments like, what do you do all day? Or how do you fill your time? Or how do you guys afford vacation? Very intrusive, inappropriate questions that again would not be appropriate in any other circumstance, but people like to trash housewives. So this might happen to you, but I really urge you to not let the fear of the haters, the doubters, the pushback to hold you back from desiring this, from planning for this, and for pursuing it. Because first of all, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. If it really is, you have a lot of terrible people in your life who don't treat you well. Because the reality is, even if you have really progressive friends, even if you have really progressive family members or people who just totally don't understand it, if they love you and they see that you're happy, they'll respect you, and they'll respect your choice. And that's been my experience. I have progressive friends, I have progressive family members, but they're happy for me because I'm happy. And that's how it should be, okay? So it probably won't be as bad as you think it is. And second of all, there's a lot you can do to eliminate and ignore the noise about homemakers and homemaking. You don't have to read people's hot takes on why it's degrading to stay home. You don't have to plug into really progressive online content that makes you feel bad about wanting to be traditional, okay? Focus on your life, your relationships, your relationship with that really important person, your husband, your man. Focus on your hobbies. And like I said, focus on starting to do and incorporate small little homemaking things into your everyday life, because this will take your focus away from that pushback and onto your dream and your beliefs and your desire. And the more you enjoy homemaking, the more that you put it into practice and the more comfortable you get with it, the more joy you're going to get out of it. And I promise you, the joy you receive from living out your dream far outweighs any snide comments. And you'll also get really good at responding to them, okay? If someone asks you, what do you do all day? You could simply look at them and say, what do you do? What do you do all day? Do you ever get lonely at home? Do you ever get lonely in your cubicle? You don't have to be rude like that, but I really encourage you to start getting on a little bit of that confidence to realize these people are not as scary as you think they are. They're silly. They're silly for thinking they can have an opinion on your lifestyle. So I just really encourage you to pump up with some content from other homemakers or people that defend homemaking. Learn the arguments for it, but remember, above all, don't get involved in useless debates. This is biblical. First of all, I live this out of my life. You guys know that I don't debate people. I don't enter into even heated interviews or arguments about this topic. First of all, because I don't care to change anyone's mind. And I think that's an important thing. If you're going to become a homemaker, don't do it to change people's minds, okay? Don't become a homemaker and then expect that everyone's going to support you. And if they don't, you have to go change their mind. No, you don't. In order to enjoy your life, you just do your homemaking and you enjoy your life with your husband and you're happy. Having some random person change their mind about homemaking isn't going to make your life any better. You might think it will, but it won't. It has no effect on you. The pushback is only going to be as negative as you allow it to be. So if you allow a lot of people to question your choices or try to argue with you online or in person, you might feel kind of miserable. The reality is you can have boundaries with people. You can shut down arguments. You can refuse to talk about things. You can just say, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, and move on with your life. Because the best testimony for homemaking, if you actually do care to change people's minds, is to just live your life and be happy, and people will see that, okay? The number one thing I've realized, I didn't intend to do this with YouTube, but I get emails all the time from people who say, just watching you in your vlogs do homemaking, or just seeing you on Instagram being a homemaker, seeing you live your life, has changed how I view homemaking. And now I want to be a homemaker, or now I respect homemakers. Just living out your life is enough, because the people who are open to changing their mind about homemaking or your lifestyle are content to observe, okay? Their mindset will change through observation, not argumentation. And usually arguments only strengthen people into their position, and they're really not worth it, even if it's with your mother-in-law. I just really encourage you to apply the agree to disagree mentality, and just remember, as long as you and your man and the Lord are on the same page, blessings to you. It's nobody's business what you do in your household, how you run your finances, what you do with your job, whatever. It's between you three. You, your husband, and the Lord. So that's that on doubters. And my final piece of advice is to make yourself the optimal homemaker even before you are a homemaker. This is not about perfectionism. It's not about being Barbie or the perfect woman, but it's about being practical. And the reality is, if you want to stay home, you have to have value at home, okay? Aside from being, having a disability or something that really holds you back, or a season of life like I'm about to enter, having a newborn baby and not being able to do as much homemaking. But outside of those things, you should be doing as much as you can to make yourself as valuable as you can. You want to be an asset to your family. Now, this isn't about proving to your husband that, please don't send me back to the workforce. It's about bringing value. It's about recognizing the value your husband makes, to every person who talks about, me being a slave at home to my husband. I kind of wonder if they've considered that you can also view him as a slave to me, because he has to work. I don't. I get to stay home, okay? I work in my own way, and I bring value in my own way, but I would much rather do my job. I feel so privileged as a homemaker compared to having to go to work every day, okay? There are many ways you can flip the narrative, and the reality is you have to pause and recognize the sacrifice your husband's making for you to be at home. And to those people who don't have a husband yet, this still applies, so just hang in there. My point is, men make a huge sacrifice for us to stay home. And in order for that to be worthwhile, we cannot just be sitting on the couch eating bonbons, as many haters like to accuse us of doing. You have to be useful. You have to make it worthwhile. And that can be done in many ways. Meal planning, consistent cleaning routines, consistent grocery shopping, frugality, budgeting, planning out the social calendar, organizing your home, making it as functional for him as possible, helping his work routine go smoothly, being flexible, offering care to neighbors, volunteering. And then of course for mothers, there's a whole host of things with childcare. Being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. These things are valuable, and before you have a man, you can get good at a lot of them. You can get good at purging out your wardrobe and staying organized. You can get good at social planning and organizing. You can get good at meal planning and budgeting. And most of all, you can try to work on your financial situation, because the reality is, if you're staying home, not bringing in money, that's okay. But you don't want to come into the relationship with a ton of debt. It is horrible to go to college for 4 years, never planning on using your degree, getting $100,000 into debt, and then expecting your husband to work that off for the next 30 years. That's wrong. That is wrong. Sometimes that happens because we don't know we want to be a homemaker until it's too late and we have debt, and I understand that. But try to do, if you already have an inkling that you want to stay home, try to do as much as you can right now to not take on debt that your husband will have to work off. You want to be a blessing and not a curse. And so try to keep your debt down, learn about finances, learn about financial planning, and most of all, the cooking. The cooking really matters. That's one of my biggest jobs as a homemaker: meal planning, working with the food, healthy food options, making his lunch, making breakfast for us. I don't do it all the time. You know, if I turned to him and I said, "I'm exhausted, can you please take over a meal?" he would. But I view that as part of my job. I'm earning my keep. I'm the cook. And so learn to cook. We all need to eat every day. You can really hone in on these skills. And when you're dating your man and he sees that you're a great cook, he sees that you're clean, it'll be very easy for him to visualize you as a homemaker, okay? So this is about gaining skills, but also painting the picture for your man of what life would be like as a homemaker. And my last little bonus advice is the debt factor and the money factor matters for you as much as for your husband. So when you're trying to find a husband, monitor him for financial responsibility. If you have a very lazy man, if you have a very irresponsible man, you know, I'm not saying that they can't ever change, but it's usually best to go off of someone's current actions and behaviors rather than a predicted future change that you hope might happen, okay? So again, you're going to be a one-income family. Most of us are not going to be marrying millionaires, contrary to what a lot of level up people will tell you. Most of us are going to marry middle-class people, maybe some upper middle-class people. We're going to be living one-income lifestyles. And when you're a homemaker, you're not bringing in money, but you can make it work. But an essential factor of that is if he is financially capable as well. So just monitor all these things as you're preparing. Prepare for the hate, but don't become obsessed with it. Try to gain useful skills, avoid debt, and try to think about this in a different way, and just don't lose hope. Don't lose hope throughout the years. This can happen. I've seen marriages change where a woman worked for 5 years and then stayed home for the next 15 years. Okay, things can even shift in a marriage. Just try to paint the picture, pray to the Lord about your desires, and to be patient and loving above all else. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in more of this specific kind of content, I have a few videos about the myths of homemaking and traditionalism that might interest you. Please share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. Please like the video as well, as it helps us grow our community. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe, join the Feminine Family, meet me over on Instagram. If you want to watch my daily stories, I have a written blog as well, but in total, I hope you guys have a wonderfully blessed and homemaking filled week, my beautiful sisters.